Joining me in the studio, former Director General, National Orientation Agency, Alhaji Idi FAROUK. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being here.
Sir, first let me start by asking. We know that the PDP is going, to a National Executive Committee meeting, to resolve some issues.
I know that they will be going to a National Executive
and a major
but
issue,
I'm not too sure when it will be.
Good. A major issue confronting the party as we speak still has to do with the issue of zoning. To begin this conversation, let me ask you, sir, what are your own personal thoughts about the issue of zoning?
Indeed, you know that zoning is entirely a party affair. Some parties decide that zoning will give them the advantage over the other parties. So basically, I think zoning is in order, and I have no problem against zoning.
Okay, that you say it's a zoning,
but it is a party affair.
Okay,
I mean, that is why I'm sure you're going to come to that later. That is why it surprises me, and I feel how come 3 political parties, all that are jostling for power at the general election, how they can come together and together say the candidate for the presidential election should come from one of the sections of the country. In this case, the South. So if you ask me, I think, because in the first place, I do not think that the APC has zoning in its constitution, but I know as a fact that the PDP does have. You get what I mean? So somebody that doesn't even have zoning, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
In its, what they call, sitting down with somebody who has zoning, and another smaller party, the ABGA, to say that they want the presidency of Nigeria to go to the South, amazes me. But amazes me in the sense that the PDP governors can sit in that kind of arrangement and agree. Please note that I have told you that it's a party affair.
You don't think that somehow between 1999 and today, looking at how power has been moving, shifting from one side of the country to another, that even though it is not documented in some official papers, that zoning has come to stay?
Yes, zoning has come to stay, particularly with the PDP as I speak. But don't forget,
even with the APC, sir.
Yeah, but it is not in their document. It's not in any document of the APC. So basically, let us talk about the one that has it in his document.
Now,
it's strange that they should meet. But let me put it, I want to give it to the APC. They are doing fantastically well. The handlers of the APC in this direction are doing well. To be able to convince the opposition, you get what I mean, to go along with them is not a small feat. I give kudos to them.
I don't really think it has.
Excuse me, don't forget that. Of course, the APC zoning, APC already has Buhari as president for 8 years.
Yes. 6 years going to 8.
I mean, they will have him for 8 years.
Yes.
Yes, at 2023, inshallah, he will have been 8 years in office. And therefore, and I'm sure that even before then, they must have had, like you observed, maybe an unwritten arrangement for the election, of the president. It should now go to the South. That is the APC. And having so decided, they are now pulling in and sucking in the PDP. And it amuses me that the PDP is buying into that, what's it called? Don't forget, the PDP has been in office for 16 years.
Yeah.
Please note that in these 16 years, 8 years was by my boss, and I can call him friend now, Olusegun Obasanjo. After which, Adwa came, and may his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
He left after 2 years. And of course, Goodluck took over. And Goodluck completed the 2 years, and of course had another 4 years. It is when he wanted the next round that General Buhari beat him. So of the 16 years of the PDP and the North has only been in power, so to speak, for only 2 years.
Yes.
14 of these 16 years was in the South. And please note that the last president of the APC, the Southerner. So if that rotation will come in place, it clearly means that it is the North that will bring the what's it called. I'm saying this as an observer from the outside, because in our little discussion, I told you I'm no longer in partisan politics. Yes, but I give advice as is required and as I can give.
So based on what you just told me now,
yes,
that it's kind of surprising to you that the ruling party APC is in a way managing somehow to suck the opposition party to flow along with it.
To suck it in.
No, in terms of this issue of zoning.
Exactly.
Don't you think that at some point it is no longer a party affair but an interest from a zone?
Excuse me. When all political parties are founded for the sole reason of winning an election. And as I speak with you, I knew that if the neck of the PDP in their wisdom agrees to the zoning, including zoning the president to the South, I want to say to them that they are shooting themselves in the foot. It's more like an own goal in a football match if they want to win the election and to get a good fight with the party in power.
Now, sir, the PDP National Zoning Committee, the one that is headed by the governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, has made it clear that even though it has recommended zoning, as it is clearly stated in its constitution, for offices within the party, it has not said anything about zoning as regards the offices of the president and the vice president. Do you think what that committee is saying is that these offices, the presidency especially, is still open for all?
No, if it is open for all, it's wonderful. So that the best candidate that can win the election for the PDP emerges. But it has to be so clearly stated. In fact, listening to him saying that all the things that has been held by the South now moves to the North, and what has been held by the North now moves to the South. In my own opinion, he has already zoned to the North, because everything in that period that was held by the South has moved to the North. Don't forget, I said to you that the last president from the PDP emerged from the South. But if it is open for all, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's well and good. May the best candidate win. But to be sucked in by the opposition party, by your opposition, is what I'm saying to you. It marvels me, because APC is in there and want to come back in 2023, and the PDP also wants to defeat the APC. So in this case, like a football match, I would advise them not to shoot themselves in the foot.
You think
I'm advising them not to have an own goal.
You think the PDP has a brighter chance of winning if they zone to the north?
The truth about it is that there are people in the APC who are good and can win election. There are people in the PDP who can win election. As a matter of fact, from all the regions. But when you are going into an election, you look at where you are strongest if you really want to win that election. Not to say that you don't have good candidates from the south, and not to say that you have the very best candidates from the north. I'm saying all zones have what's it called? When they all throw their caps into the ring, or their hats into the ring, as it said, we will speak again on who, from amongst all, APC and PDP, who in your opinion or in my opinion is best for Nigeria.
So there's something the Ugoyin-led committee spoke about, you know, just as he was announcing his decision to zone. He said, you know, for fairness, equity, and justice. Now, do you think, and looking at...
Excuse me, politically speaking, for fairness, justice, and equity comes after you have won the election and you want to prevail on the president in this case to be fair, just, and...
No, I'm talking about in sharing of offices.
It's not the issue of sharing an office in a political party. It is to win elections.
Good.
You get what I mean? And when you win that election, that is at the point where all of us, you get what I mean, will be prevailing on the incumbent to be just, fair, and discharge things equitably. Not at the point of going to election.
If the PDP decide to look...
Let me tell you, as we speak, in the River State, 3 of the gubernatorial past 3, that is Amechi, Omeha, Amechi, and Wike, all from the same place. You get what I mean? And let's go back to the Enugu. Look, justice and fairness should come holistically at all levels. That's what we pray for, and that's what we want. But when you are going into an election, it is my, you know, I'm not, it's my call on both political parties to ensure that they put their best foot forward so that we can get a president, because we are talking about the presidency now, who can be just, fair, and equitable to all.
So, but you know how difficult that has been all through these years. You know how tough that can really be to achieve. If, for example, the PDP decides to look towards the north, knowing that currently the north is holding on to the same position.
Excuse me, the north of APC.
The north?
No, please appreciate the north of APC.
It's not the north of PDP.
It's not the north of PDP. The north of APC is in power today. You understand?
Yes.
So when you're saying the north, of course, President Muhammad Buhari is a northerner.
Yes.
You understand?
When we aggregate that at the national level,
when we're talking about party politics,
yes,
Buhari is in the north of APC. You understand?
Good.
And that is why even people from PDP of the north are even, I don't want to use the word fighting, but they are in opposition to him. You get what I mean? And even as he is the north of APC, the north, people of the south are contributing their own quota to ensure that he succeeds. So the party, the north of the APC, is different from the north of the PDP.
From the way it is now, you don't think that like I was going to ask you the other time that if, for example, the PDP decides to look towards the north, where do you think that will leave some interest group in the south? Don't forget, the southern governors are pushing strongly that power should return to the south of the country.
Let me tell you, don't forget that the APC, as we speak, are already poaching from the PDP south. You don't know this? They are taking, I mean, so even as we speak, I have deep respect for Governor Buni because he's doing well for his party, taking people from the opposition. So why are they taking, if it is fairness we are talking about, why are governors taking the mandate of the PDP now into the APC? Why? Don't forget, for Buhari to win also in the 2015 election, there was also mass defection from the PDP into the APC. That gave them strength, and that's what they are now using. I'm saying that their strategy is good. It's good for them to win an election. I'm only telling the PDP that...
To be wise.
Say again?
To be wise.
To wake up and note that when the South is saying, when the southern governors, or particularly when the APC southern governors are saying South only, it is because they already have an understanding in their party that from Buhari, come 2023, it will be a southerner, although we are not even aware of which south it is. Don't forget, in the south there are 3 zones. So for equity and fairness, I hope in their going to the south, they will do it equitably and fairly.
So let me be a little bit frank with you, sir. The thinking in some places is that what PDP is trying to do is to spoil things for the APC, knowing that the APC haven't done some period in north, will not probably be inclined to stay back in the north, and so the PDP is trying to turn the table against.
I wish I understand your question, because really, what do you really want to ask?
Good. What I want to ask is this, that the APC is stuck somehow. They want to maybe move towards the south. They are inclined more to move towards the south. At a time when...
The APC is not stuck. The APC has a lot of strength in the south. Check the southwest. Only one governor.
Do you think the APC,
only one governor?
Do you think the APC will still look towards the north, just the same way PDP is looking towards the north, or wants to look towards the north?
Since I'm advising, I will advise them, if there is an understanding, to maintain that understanding. I would advise, again, for the same equity, fairness, and you are the one that said it. Equity, fairness, and justice. I would advise that they abide by their, what's it called?
Let me pick a bit from what you said the other time about the APC doing a very good job in trying to poach.
In poaching and the rest,
people from the opposition party. Why do you think there has been that kind of movement? One will expect that the movement should have been the other way around.
Why I think that movement is because, if you note that the poaching is more in the south, you understand, it's more, although Matawale has moved from that, he moved to the APC, only one. But in the south, in their belief that it will be southern, the APC is going to the south, it is in that belief that I guess most of them are jumping on the train.
Do you feel that there is a national sense, I don't know how to put it now, but a national sense that power should move from the North this time and go to the South?
Excuse me, if we are a one-party state, if we were a one-party, if all of us are in one party, do you understand? That can happen.
Okay, but in a multi-party...
But in a multi-party, parties want to win. The PDP will be looking at the APC as not performing well, in their opinion. And they believe that if they are in office, they will perform, and all the things that the APC is not doing, they will do. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if it is one party, this must move. The zoning is very easy to do. Don't forget, please note, zoning began with the MPN. That was when the zoning began. And fortunately, I was active member in my own way of the MPN.
At that time?
Say again?
At that time?
Oh, yes. I have been in politics since MPC as a young man. I'm not a young man, for you to know. So it was enshrined there, again, to win, to get the majority of people. So MPN enshrined it. And don't forget that the PDP, most of the people of the MPN were also in the formative, what's it called, of the PDP. You get what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Ekweme, Mala Ademuchiroma, Bamanga Tukur and all that all came together and said, and it's because of this justice and equity and fairness, let us zone. If we go to the field, Shagari won the election, they were clearly going to the south. And that is why, may his soul rest in peace, Akinloye, Adisa Akinloye, was gunning for it. I know this as a fact. And Ekweme, as vice president, was also gearing up until the unfortunate incidents of December 31 of 1983, when that happened. So when this party thing came back again, these same people went and formed the what's it called? And you see, people talk about North or South, North or South. The freest and fairest election today, which one is it, as you said?
The June 12.
June 12
Yes.
of Abiola.
Yes.
Did Abiola not win all of Nigeria, including the North?
He did.
What is your lesson there? The lesson here is that the North will not vote for anybody because the Northerner. They look at the quality. And that is why Abiola won in Kano, won in Kaduna, won in Zaria, won in Jigawa, as the case may be. The lesson of June 12, as far as I am concerned, is not what everybody says. It is that the North will look at the candidate, and on the strength of his, on how they perceive that he will perform, will vote accordingly. And that is why June 12 became the first. Because if the North had not voted, it couldn't have been the same. So this talk about the North has held, and there has been no time in our history when anybody, any tribe was denied to go in. Because when you go in, you have, may his soul rest in peace, Marlon Issa Funtua said you have to belong. What he means is that you have to belong to a party. You get what I mean? You have to belong to a party. You have to canvass within the party, because elections are on two levels. The primaries and the general elections. So you have to win in the primaries to even become a candidate. So you really have to participate. You get what I mean? Yeah. So if now the party is saying it is open, I appreciate that. I even congratulate them. Let it be open so that nobody... But even when you zone, you know that zoning goes against the letter, because what the Constitution says is different. Even when you zone to the North, for instance, and we are going to call for people to come out. Anybody can come out, even from the south. The party can't stop you from contesting.
I know.
When you zone, it is to mean that the party will use its apparatus to be able to get delegates on the side of their preferred candidate.
If you people who decide to swim against that tide,
yes,
they
at all elections,
they didn't quite come out of it.
Even the 1999 one, there were northerners in just primaries.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, 2003 too.
Yes. And let me also say, Ekweme was geared to winning that election. But check it out. He lost the election. If all the eastern delegates had voted, he should have been the candidate. That goes to show you that even the delegates will not against the, and Ekweme had the best campaign. He had, may his soul rest in peace, Mala Ali Baba, I've forgotten his title in Yola, but he's one of the best managers of parties.
So before I let you go, because we're running out of time, really,
I appreciate
what would be your final thoughts on this issue of zoning or no zoning, particularly as the PDP goes into its National Executive Committee meeting on Wednesday?
What
would you advise the party, your final advice to the party, as we wrap up this program?
If it is to be, if they are going to follow zoning, like you also said, equity, justice, and fairness.
Yes.
If they are going to zone the presidency, they should zone it to the north. Because the last president of the PDP was
from the south.
His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan was from the south. And also please note that in 16 years of the PDP, the north has occupied it only 2 years.
Yes.
Under, may his soul rest in peace, Yaradua. But they can also decide that it should be left open. Everybody should throw their hats into the ring. Then the delegates will, because first of all, the delegates must decide on who, meaning that everybody will be crisscrossing the nation, and it might even be good for the party in the long run. You understand? Because their members have campaigned intensely to get the ticket. But doing otherwise is shooting themselves in the foot, and it's an own goal. And exactly what they are playing the script of the APC.
Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.